Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Abrasive Noise podcast. I'm your host, Luke Parsons. On today's show, we have Carcassbomb from Noob Heavy and Black Lodge PR. He was a big supporter of Abrasive Noise right at the beginning, gave me loads of help and stuff. So it's been good to get him on the show today. It's something I wanted to do for a while. I hope you enjoy the episode. If you do, please check out our previous episodes on Spotify or YouTube. And give us a follow on Twitter and a like on Facebook if you fancy it. So yeah, without further ado, here's the episode. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for joining me, Carcassbomb. So I just want to start off talking a bit about Noob Heavy and what that is all about.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Luke. Good to be on another metal podcast. Noob Heavy, we do a lot of things, focusing on creating like resources and reviews for the underground. Specifically lately, we've been really getting into a lot of leftist and LGBTQ sort of metal in the scene,
Yeah,
and hardcore as well. Very inclusive of hardcore genres.
cool. So do you do like reviews, sort of, like you said, like content that sort of helps people out? What kind of stuff is that?
Yeah, we've got some like resources like the free Bandcamp wiki where I curate a list of Name Your Own Price albums that were released this year. And that's like a heap of bands that have like hardly any following at all, like
Yeah,
maybe two supporters on Bandcamp. So it's a really good place to look for some like really new bands.
cool. Yeah,
And
because
we've got a commissioning artist list, yeah.
there's quite a lot of albums on that list. Because I remember I've looked through it and there's seems to be hundreds.
It's not quite that big yet, but I'll get there. I need to get back into that now. Like I have to wait every sort of month or so for a bunch of new releases to come out, so I can spend hours just manually going through Bandcamp by new arrival. So I kind of do it that way.
All right, is that pretty sort of painstaking? Because I
Yeah,
find with Bandcamp
definitely.
it's like it's not the most user friendly.
Yeah, well, I just go by each like metal genre, new arrival. I open like every single release, close all the ones that aren't Name Your Own Price, and then listen to all the Name Your Own Price ones and put the ones that I like on the list. So it does ignore a lot of like half-ass kind of bedroom recording demo sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I like to mostly start at like an EP quality kind of demo.
Mm.
And yeah, so it's good music on there, and I've got it split by like genres. So you've got metal, hardcore, stoner stuff, and then like just really weird shit.
Yeah. Experimental stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Like your noise and your grindcores and your experiments.
Yeah. So yeah, what's your proudest achievement with Noob Heavy?
Oh, probably it's hard to choose that because we've had some really good interviews.
Yeah.
Like I got to interview my favorite band, Horse the Band, which was a huge highlight for me. I've been listening to them since I was like 16, and it was really insane to get to talk to them. I recently talked to bassist from Cannibal Corpse, Alex Webb, so
Okay.
that was really cool. It's just I don't know how I keep getting these opportunities because I'm just like there's no one in Australia and whatever, but I'm getting them and it's fun.
Yeah. Did you not do a interview with Between the Buried and Me band member as well? I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was one of the first interviews I actually did, which was like early 2020, just before COVID hit, and they were
Yeah.
doing an East Coast tour in Australia, a special night with sort of deal with Between the Buried and Me, and so I got an email to do an interview with Tommy, and that was where it pretty much started.
Cool. Yeah,
And
because
yeah,
I,
that, that
I
was
think I
that, that
went to
was
that.
an unreal experience. Yeah,
Sorry, but yeah,
yeah,
I went to
that
that
was
when they were in the UK. It was yeah, it was really cool, really quite unique experience.
yeah. No, they're one of my favorite bands for sure. A lot of people say they're overrated, but I don't care. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I've got a couple of mates that like them as well, so it's pretty good. So have you got any sort of future sort of plans with New Heavy, like any big things that you're planning or anything like that?
Yeah, I've always got something in the works. Like right now, I've mostly been working on a list of labels with like Nazi ties in the metal scene and stuff to avoid.
Yeah,
That's been a huge project that really started up this year. I'd say that is probably the most notable article on the entire website at this point. It's making the rounds pretty hard. So I've been working a lot on that, and that's getting bigger. And I'm hoping to interview Swallow the Sun soon.
okay.
See how that goes. I don't know. That's
So
like
what
two
kind of
things
band are
I'm looking
they?
forward to. Sorry?
What kind of sort of genre do they play? Because I don't know
Ah,
them.
doom metal, like Def Doom. They're like one of the early 2000s kind of the Def Doom band, along with like November's Doom, October Tide, and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, that sort of that list with the sort of Nazi black metal. Is it black metal labels or just labels in general? I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's labels with connections to National Socialist black metal, the genre,
mm. Yeah, I was
which
quite
is
shocked when I read
yeah.
that because yeah, there was a lot on there. And it was kind of yeah eye opening for me.
Yeah, well, that was another. I have so many projects on the site that it's just a matter of committing time to a tedious task.
Mm.
And this list in particular of the National Socialist Band uh, was really, it's both a tedious task in itself, but it's also such a bummer to
Yeah,
just be going through all of this just terrible shit just for hours and hours on end, researching into all these bands and labels and like reading lyrics, looking at socials of some of the bands and stuff like that. And you're just seeing like the biggest shitheads in the industry right now.
mm. Yeah, because
And
it
yeah,
kind
it
of
makes me a bit sick to do it. So I take breaks, long breaks between updating it because it's
yeah
yeah, it's a bummer.
yeah it's cause it's kind of worrying for people like us. Like you know, we find something we like, and you kind of have to think like make sure it's not linked to anything like that. It's just a pain in the ass, really.
Yeah, well, that was the intent of the list. It's just like it's just for people that who do want to consume in a more ethical way and
Mm.
who like to be conscious of that now that they can sort of have a place to search and find out. And that's all it really is. It's a resource for people who do want to know.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's yeah, it's kind of a comfort blanket for everyone to know that there's someone doing that for us.
Yeah, I just hope I don't fuck it up. So are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, yeah, I can say what you want within
I swear
reason.
a lot, sorry.
Yeah, I put it as explicit on Spotify, so it's all good.
Yeah,
Because I
I've
swear as
never done
well.
anything that wasn't explicit.
I mean, it's a metal
I'm
show,
just
man.
too
It's like
Australian.
there's going to
Yeah,
be swearing.
fuck yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's get into playing the first track. So we'll start with one of yours. If you just want to kind of like introduce it and talk a bit about it first, and then we'll play it.
Yeah, this is a track from a band that I'm working with at the moment called Vanta from Hungary, and they're like a sludge doom duo. Their album isn't out yet, but this single is available now, and this is the one we'll be playing, Feel Alive. I think it's a pretty good introduction to the band's style and energy. A lot of energy behind it. It's good stuff.
So that was Feel Alive by Vanta. So talk a bit now about the sort of PR work you do with Black Lodge, because you originally started that as part of Noob Heavy, didn't you? And then you've sort of separated it from what you do on Noob
Yeah,
Heavy. Is that right?
yeah. It used to be Noob Heavy PR. I kind of just fell into it as like a metal blog, and a band Aeon's Abyss hit me up in like 2019 because they liked my promotion style and we were talking a lot. And they were like basically like, hey, if we give you some money, can you like do PR for our album? And I was like,
Yeah.
I've never done this before. I have no idea how it's gonna go. And they're like, yeah, that's no worries, we trust you. And yeah, that's pretty much how I started. And it was went really well. So
Yeah.
then I started getting a bunch more jobs, and it got a lot bigger than I thought it was going to get. Because usually with a business like this, you're looking at slow start, like jobs are few and far between in a big way. And sometimes it is for sure. But the fact that I've managed to get like a dozen jobs since starting in late 2019 in November, I kind of had to separate it into its own entity that was more focused and very much business-like and professional.
Yeah.
And I thought it also couldn't hurt to double up on the socials, to double up on the promotion ability.
Mm.
So yeah, Black Lodge PR is my main business now.
Cool. That's quite cool that
And
they sort of came to you first rather than
yeah,
you sort of going towards them.
yeah, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of people that I've worked with who just keep working with me throughout their all their releases. Like Rise to the Sky, I've worked on their last like four releases,
Okay.
and I've got more coming up as well. And it's like, yeah, I've forged a lot of great connections with some really good bands that I'm really excited every time I hear they're making new music
Yeah.
because I know I get to work with them. Yeah.
Cool. So what was like your sort of biggest campaign so far?
Probably The Poisoner by White Crone. That's an album that went really huge in the metal Twitter circles and just a lot of more mainstream circles as well in the metal world, and made it to a lot of end of year lists. Yeah, I'm quite proud to have got that album out there.
Yeah, it's one that I've seen quite a lot because I follow. Is it Lisa on
Yeah,
Twitter as
Lisa
well?
Man.
Yeah, and yeah, it did seem to sort of be in everyone's eye line.
Yeah, it was a huge release last year. It was awesome. It's great music too. I got the CD right in
Yeah,
front of me actually.
yeah, I listened to it as well. It's like traditional heavy metal, isn't it? Kind of
Yeah, yeah, very
that kind of
Judas
style.
Priest, Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
It
I
reminded me
think.
a lot of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son era kind of Iron Maiden, the more spacey kind of power.
Yeah, definitely. So have you got any sort of campaigns you're working on right now?
Yeah, but I can't say too much because I'm not sure when
Okay,
this comes out and they haven't announced yet.
right, fair enough.
But I've got some doom metal coming that I think everyone will enjoy a lot. And I've got some death metal coming with Aeon's Abyss, who are releasing a new album later in the year
Awesome.
called Terror Manifest. Yeah, they're from Australia. And I mentioned them earlier because they're the band that gave me my first job.
So
Really cool
do
guys.
you work with like certain genres, or do you just you listen to it and then say, actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind you know promoting that, or how does it sort of work? Because I don't really have any idea how it works.
Yeah, I'm pretty open. Generally, once you establish a sort of portfolio, you'll start getting a lot more offers from the genres you've already worked with. So a lot of what I do get is doom metal and death metal.
Yeah,
But I am always happy to promote other stuff. But I have built a very strong foundation for those two genres in terms of, because that's my most common one. So I've built the most network there. But I'm always happy to work with other genres as well. But with black metal, like with the list work I do, I'm very, very specific. I'm pretty much only going to really promote. anti-fascist, anarchist black metal at this point.
Mm. Yeah, it's lucky for me because I don't really like Blackmore anyway. So it's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
can easily avoid it. I don't have to worry about reviewing, yeah, dodgy bands too much.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely won't be working with any dodgy bands, and like I've had to turn down quite a few jobs just because like they weren't in line with what I stand for in on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it's like it would make no sense to promote that stuff. So I'd have to turn down a fair few things, unfortunately.
yeah. I mean,
Basically, I'm basically an idiot because I convince people not to hire me all the time. I work quite cheaply. I'm not really spamming people with my business and doing annoying shit on social media.
no, I mean
You know, I
it's
would
it's
if
it's
I
fair
did,
enough,
I'd be more
really. Like,
successful.
yeah, if it doesn't sort of tie in with what you do, then within your right to turn it down, I guess.
Yeah,
It's not that you don't want to work for anyone and anything. It's I think it's a good idea.
yeah. Well, that's yeah. I don't get along with most other PR people. A lot of them have me like blocked and muted. I'm a bit of a pain in the ass in the PR world.
Thorn in their side.
Yeah, I don't know. They're just yeah, some real fake number shit going on out there. Some real scams.
Yeah, I came across one the other day actually. I won't sort of say the name, but they were sort of saying, oh, we have like six-figure like hits on our social medias and stuff, and then when you go and have a look, they got like 4,000 likes. So it's like, yeah, okay. I'm not sure how that
Yeah,
works.
well, you also get a lot of like people that trying to sort of monetize their like 20,000 followers on Twitter.
Mm.
But when you actually look at the tweets, they have hardly any interaction and hardly any likes, despite having so many followers, because most of those followers are bullshit.
Yeah, because there's a
Yeah,
lot
there's so
lot
many
of
different
paid
kinds
stuff
of
going on.
scams too. Like, I hate my least favorite part of doing the PR work because obviously what I do is I send out emails to every blog and website and Airplay thing I can find to give them the download link and the promo kit. And so I get the same experience that a lot of bands get when they're trying to get their work out there in terms of getting back sort of responses that are like, oh, we're busy at the moment, but you can pay us money and we'll do it.
Yeah,
Or we're busy at the moment, but here's how you can advertise on our site. And there's a lot of that shit and I've noticed it because unlike a band who might send out music to all the blogs like once a year or something, I'm doing it every few weeks or every couple of months or so. And I'm noticing that that response from that particular person never changes. They are always busy and they always say, here's how you can get coverage through money. Over
yeah,
2 years, some of them I've noticed. I still send it to it because I'm like, fuck it. Might as well see what they're doing now, you know what I mean?
yeah. See
But I
if
made a
they've.
list actually of, yeah, that people promoters that do that. So probably going to annoy the PR scene again soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of dodgy stuff going on in like sort of paid reviews as well.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I've never asked for money for the reviews I've done. I've always done it out of the goodness of my heart.
Yeah, same here. Like Noob Heavy in the header of the website, it's pretty explicitly anti-capitalist, and
Yeah,
for that reason, I'm never gonna have ads on the site. I'm never really gonna monetize Noob Heavy in any way. So that's why I have Black Lodge PR, so that
mm,
I can afford to pay the expenses of Noob Heavy in advance. Noob Heavy. It's not like a thing where I'm trying to get rich or anything like that.
yeah. And the thing is, there's so many review sites that do it for free anyway. It's just stupid
Yeah.
to ask for money
Oh,
for
for
it.
sure. There's been some promoters that are like quite big in the underground, like like No Clean Singing and stuff like that,
Mm,
who do it for free and have like never turned me down and have always been super nice and like Mr. Doom 666 on YouTube, he's like that too, where he's like really nice, he does it for free and he just pretty much is always keen to put up something for me.
Yeah.
And you got people like K-Man on Twitter,
Oh yeah.
he'll always
Yeah.
put up a thing to for one of my albums when it's coming out soon. What's he called the segment? Like the he's always got great names
Yeah. Isn't it some
for his
like
things.
I can't remember because it
Upcoming
is.
Terror, yeah, upcoming Terror, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And then on Full Force Friday, he pumps it out again. Yeah, he's always good.
Yeah.
So you
He's
do
always
find a
got.
lot of these free avenues, and I I can't imagine that the places that do paid reviews, I can't imagine it ever being like worth it. I don't know. I've never
Mm,
really been able to reach that metal sucks kind of realm of getting coverage on their shit because I think
yeah.
they're like a bit like that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's
But,
cool with the
fuck them.
K-Man thing because there's just so many albums he puts on his tweets. It's like whoa, this guy's in the know.
Yeah, I got a playlist on Spotify that I've put together of new albums from 20 metal albums from 2021 where I just go through his feed and I just chuck all of his shit every Friday onto that playlist along with some of my own discoveries that he didn't cover. So it's just this massive playlist with 320 hours of music at the moment because that's
Holy shit!
just so much music coming out, yeah.
Bloody hell!
And I haven't updated that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Which I'll do. That's another tedious. I just love doing tedious shit. Apparently.
Yeah, I think it's worth it though if people actually use it, you know, because
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like sometimes when I was writing reviews, I was like, sometimes it does get a bit tedious, and then when people like sort of enjoy reading what you do, then you're like, okay, yeah, it's definitely worth it. Um, Helps you keep going.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's very motivating to know that there's people actually reading it. I did not start that way at
Yeah,
all. Started in the exact opposite, where like I didn't have social media for the first year at all, and yeah, I was getting maybe like my own friends wouldn't look at it. You know what I mean? Like it was like
yeah,
nothing, like nobody. And I was just doing it every day as a exercise for university because I was studying writing. So I just wanted to, write shit every day. So I started doing reviews and just doing it for myself. And I think I got to 50 reviews with like nobody looking at it before I was like, all right, I'll join social media. And I started with Instagram, and then yeah, getting that feedback from readers was not only motivating but absolutely crucial to the growth of the site because back then it was a text only blog,
yeah,
and basically some dude just rolled up on my messages and said, "Hey dude, your website looks like shit. You should like work on that because you got some great content." And I was like, "Well, fuck. Uh, that hurts, but you're right, and I need to go look at that." And I spent a while researching how to fuck around with themes on WordPress and really get into that. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with where it is now. And the community input has consistently given me an idea of where to focus my work now.
yeah, yeah. It's a similar thing for me really because like before Abrasive Noise, I basically had one of those shitty WordPress blogs where literally it was pretty much the same as yours, where there was no real design. It was just words, and
Yeah,
yeah, basically I was writing for a little while, and then I actually sort of shared it with my mates, and then they said, "Oh yeah, this is actually really good. Like you should, make this sort of a proper website." Um, and yeah, I did the same. Just yeah, learned how to actually build a website, and then yeah, everyone else agreed. So that's
no,
what
yeah,
it's that early motivation that keeps you going to make something worthwhile.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been a fun ride, especially getting so many new team members now for the site as well. So it's not just me anymore. That's
Yeah,
always fun because there's a bit more of a community feel to your work. You're talking to other writers a lot or quite regularly.
Mm.
and that next level for a blog is like really rewarding.
Yeah, because have you got about, is it like 10 or 11 other writers now?
I don't know if it's that many. I'd say probably closer to 6 or 7, but we get like
Okay.
some people that jump in sporadically every now and then, maybe like a couple times a year, sort of thing. But we've got about 5, 6 consistent writers that
Mm.
cover their various genres and do the various kinds of articles.
Yeah, I suppose it takes the
We've got a few
workload off
columns.
as well, so you don't have to write every week, for
Well,
example.
yeah, it's been useful to allow me to work on other projects like the NSBM list and my other podcasts and all the other shit I'm doing. So I'm not writing as much lately, but they are writing heaps. So, like
Mm.
John Kep, he writes like 3 a week or something. Like he's a machine.
Wow.
And yeah, John Angel, he's always writing them. Zach, he'll be in there every week on the dot, like a review every week. Like, yeah, they're killing it. So I'm just being able to build these other resources to be bigger and bigger because of their work on the reviews.
Yeah.
And they're doing interviews as well now too, which is cool.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna play my first track now. So the first track I picked is "Believe in Something You Are Lost" by A Pale Horse Named Death. So this is their first single from the upcoming album Infernum in Terror, which is their fourth studio album, and it's out via Long Branch Records on 24th of September. So the single was released on the 28th of May, and here it is. that was A Pale Horse Named Death with Believe in Something You Are Lost, taken from their upcoming album Infernum in Terror. So now I'm going to talk about our sort of favourite albums of the year so far. I'm not going to really put a number on how many we're talking about, but just any that sort of have stood out for you.
Yeah, I've actually got a list open here already because I'm working on a mid-year article because it's that time of year, I guess, and that's what we're supposed to do, I think.
Yeah.
I think what the first album that really caught my attention in a big way and earlier in the year, I think like it didn't come out in January, but I think I got the promo in January, and that was Abiotic. Their
Okay.
album, oh God, I'm so bad at pronouncing. I didn't write the album names. I just wrote the shorthand band names. I should have thought that through.
That's
Oh
alright.
yeah, Ikagi. But it's the one with the samurai on the front cover. I think a lot of people would have seen early in the year, and they're a really good technical progressive death metal band from Florida. It's like their return album after quite a long time away, like nearly a decade, I think. And it's a really strong album that has a lot of really cool concepts in it. I still listen to it now.
Also, that is that in January that it came out. You say?
February, but I think I
All
got the
right.
promo in January, so I've been listening to it since January.
Yeah. So for me, like I'd say the beginning of the year has been the sort of the best albums. Um, so for me, it was Archaon with Cascadence. They're like a progressive metalcore band. It's their
Okay.
debut album, um, and yeah, it was just really good. Like the vocals were just brilliant, basically. The music was really good, but the vocals were the standout for me. They were just like really, the cleans were really good. The harsh vocals were really good. They're really dynamic vocals, and they kind of remind me of Periphery quite a lot, especially like the first
Oh
listen.
yeah.
I just felt like I was listening to a Periphery album, and then like sort of the next two or three listens after that, then you can kind of hear their kind of stamp on it. Um,
Oh yeah. I'll have to check them out.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the vocal, like normally vocals for me, I'm kind of very picky, but yeah, they just blew me away really. Um, and yeah, for like a debut album as well, like because I think they'd only released one EP before that in
Oh yeah.
2018. I can't remember what the name was, but yeah, I was seriously impressed with what they came up with. I actually got tickets to one of
Oh,
their shows in July, but I'm not sure if it's still going ahead actually. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able
yeah.
to do that.
I've had two shows that I had tickets for cancelled in the last couple of weeks
Yeah,
that were coming up soon. I'm pretty
isn't it?
bummed. One of them was uh, Chelsea Wolf with Emma Ruth Rundle. So I'm really bummed that I have to wait another year to see that.
Yeah, I mean I've been waiting to see Lamb of God for like a year and a half now. I think by the time I see them in December, it'll be nearly 2 years. So
Yeah, I've been really bad with keeping up with music this year.
yeah,
So
same.
I probably haven't heard a lot of the ones you're probably going to mention because I don't know. I've been really just listening to the same albums over and over again this year, which I usually don't do.
Yeah,
But some of these albums are just really fucking stuck with me, and I'm just always sort of craving them and in the mood to put them on. And yeah, I haven't reviewed as many albums this year because of that. Like Breath's Lined in Silver, such a nice album to just put on and just chill to. Just anytime I can listen to that any day of the week. It's like very sort of progressive, stoner, alt rock, a whole bunch of stuff thrown in there, kind of Deftonesy, really good.
okay. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
felt
I've
myself
been
doing the
listening to that
same.
nonstop.
Cool. Yeah, I've sort of done the same, especially the last like month or so. I've really not listened to anything, to be honest. I mean, I have moved house, so that's my excuse. So I was sorting all that out. Yeah, I think you just did your second one, didn't you?
Yeah, my second one. We don't have to take turns. I don't know.
No, no,
I
no.
only usually do
I
this.
thought, yeah, I thought it'd just be good to kind of go back and forth. But yeah,
Yeah, sounds good.
um, yeah. So the second one, uh, Obsidian by Blue Starly. So Blue Starly is basically a like electro industrial metal artist. But
Okay.
he kind of does everything really. If you go through his discography, you could probably find any genre you want. Um, and this Obsidian was the third album from a trilogy, the Dead Channel trilogy. With the first two came out in 2020, and then sort of this one kind of dropped into 2021 in January. Um, and yeah, I felt out of the three albums, it was probably the best one because it kind of consolidates everything from the first two. So I think the first one of the three was called Quartz, and I had a lot of sort of metal and kind of there's a little bit atmospheric as well with the electronics. And then the second album, Copper, was quite, I'd say, experimental. It's very sort of atmospheric, kind of cinematic music. I didn't particularly like it too much. It was a bit, yeah, a bit weird for me. But yeah,
Well, it
then
sounds like they've
Obsidian.
put out a lot, so it's you're bound to find stuff that's not quite as strong to you
Yeah,
as other things when they're putting out like a bunch of albums
yeah. I think
of different
he'd been working
styles.
on it for a while, like the whole concept of it. But yeah, sort of released them all sort of really close together, which I wasn't complaining because I was like, I've been waiting like 5 years for new music from him, so I was like, yeah, three albums in one go. That's good.
Yeah,
um, and yeah, then with Obsidian, like I said before, it's kind of a mix of both, and yeah, just some really strong songs on it. He kind of dabbled a bit with doom metal on one of the tracks called Catastrophe, which I thought was really cool. Because it's kind of hard now for all the music that he's done for him to find like new sort of avenues, like new subgenres to experiment with. So when I sort of heard that, I was like, oh, there we go. Now doom metal is ticked off the list now. So yeah, and then some of the electronic tracks as well were pretty good. Like Legion.
nice.
It's funny because he actually, I think he said on social media that was one of the tracks that he kind of just threw together at the end. And I said in the comments on like Instagram, I was like, oh, that's literally one of my favorites. So
Right.
yeah, it's quite cool to hear that insight.
Yeah, no, that sounds interesting. I've been making electronic music lately, so I'm definitely keen on checking that out. See what they're doing.
Yeah, he's basically one of my, I'd say top five like bands artists of all time.
Really nice.
Yeah, I think I sort of found him sort of fairly sort of early, and like when I started getting into this type of music, like metal and electronic music, because I kind of like both, and then found one that sort of found an artist that puts it both together, and it sort of blew my mind at the time.
Yeah, no, that's very cool.
Yeah. So have you got any more
Uh,
that you'd like to mention?
yeah, my favorite Australian band, Dr. Colossus, released a new album this year. It's their second album, the follow-up to The Dank, which was a huge album in 2018 that like propelled their career. It was an amazing album. They're a stoner doom slash rock, and they are a Simpsons theme band, The
All
Simpsons.
right.
So all of their music is about uh, Simpsons episodes, but a lot of it is used as like metaphor to express their own kind of depression and grief and things like that. So it's comedic, but it's also quite dark underneath that surface.
Yeah.
And that combination to me is somebody who's in that perfect age range to have grown up with The Simpsons. Like in Australia, The Simpsons was on TV every single night at 6 o'clock, and we would watch it every single night growing up. And
Yeah.
so it's really right in my brain. And like to hear someone put a lot of soul into that, it's like it really connects with me. Their music, it's really good. And they got this year they just released the album's called. God, I might need to take a drink of water before I bloody read this album title. I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt. Is the name of the album.
Amazing.
This
Love
one's a
it.
bit more upbeat and psychedelic. It's really cool. Like I think it's just a really powerful album from them, coming from like a very depressive vibe into a more uplifting vibe that it still has a very serious subject matter sort of behind it, or at least that feeling. There's a
Yeah.
lot of really cool moments on the album that are like just phenomenal. I think there's sort of a part where it's in The Simpsons, there'd be these moments where like the whole cast would come together to like sing a song or whatever, and like the clouds would like start joining in and singing as well and shit like that. There's like a part in the album that like sounds like that, like it's just a bunch of people coming together to sing this song and everything, and they really capture the aesthetic of The Simpsons really nicely. I've seen them live. They dress up in full Stonecutters outfits when they play live, and they are insanely good live, like one to one to studio quality, like vocals and everything.
Yeah.
And they were one that were meant to play in Brisbane in a month or two, but it got cancelled, so that's a bummer.
Yeah. That sounds really fun actually. Like,
Oh, it's great. It's definitely got to check it out.
yeah. I mean, I didn't really watch The Simpsons growing up, but yeah, I think I could definitely appreciate that. So, yeah, I've just got one more to talk about actually. And this is actually a recent one that I found. There's a band called Reality Grey. Their new album's called Beneath This Crown. And they're a progressive metal slash metalcore band as well. Although they kind of combine a few different sort of influences. So there's sort of like thrash metal, a little bit of death metal, and then some kind of like electronic sort of atmospherics as well. And yeah, this album came out, I think it was beginning of May, the 7th of May. And yeah, it's a great album. There's 13 tracks on it, so I worry a little bit when there's that many tracks on an album, because I think it can sometimes just feel like there's too much in there.
Yeah,
But the tracks are all like fairly short, like 3 or 4 minutes. And to be honest, sometimes I listen to it and I think I'd want more of this. Actually, it's like it's just a really quality album. There's a lot of great riffs in it, great solos. But it's mainly just like harsh vocals throughout the album. But there's a couple of moments where they sort of do like clean sung choruses, and they're really like just really good. Sort of great melodies, great harmonies as well. And yeah, it's just one of those albums that sort of caught me by surprise a little bit. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
yeah. When you have
Yeah,
that many tracks, you gotta really have a good album structure to keep the attention and flow of it. It's
yeah.
hard to
I
pull
mean,
that off.
I think that's what they did really well. Like, there was an overall kind of like scope of the album, but they always introducing something new on every track. It's like different influences and just different variations on riffs. And there was like a vocal cameo as well, like sort of 3/4 of the way through as well. So yeah, it just felt like there's always something new to the table. And then the way they finished the album is really cool as well. It's like they actually wrote like a final track, if you know what I mean, like sort
Yeah.
of a consolidating track, that kind of makes you want to listen to the next album. Like it's really cool how they did it.
Yeah, I got an album like that as well on my list that has like a whole heap of tracks but is like gripping. Scarred is the name of the band, and they have like 14 tracks of like varying sizes and stuff, but like they go through so many genres. like synth and like glam rock and metal and like Gojira kind of stuff, and they just have this really consistent cinematic vibe to it that just the entire album from beginning to end is just so good and so memorable, and that's what I've been listening to since January. And like, yeah, they really nailed down that album structure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I listened to that. Did you say it was Scarred, wasn't it? They're
Yeah,
self-titled.
Scarred, self-titled. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Had a really their album cover is like a very sort of neon psychedelic kind of
Yeah.
vibe, and that's quite the sound as well. Like when you listen to it, you can kind of hear the colors like pink and blue, like neon kind of. So it almost sounds like that kind of futuristic kind of sound, but it's still playing a lot of like rock and metal that's rooted in like 80s and 90s sort of styles.
Yeah. I think with that one I found that it was there's a little bit of like a tongue in cheek kind of attitude to it,
Yeah, yeah, but
which I
they're
quite liked.
insanely talented. So it's like, yeah, they're taking the piss if it kind of feels, but at the same time, it is like technically on point as well.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Cool. So
Yeah,
have you
I
sorry, do you want
sorry.
to talk about any more or
Yeah, well, there was one more that really has been a huge standout this year, and it's made quite an impact in the black metal scene because it has a very bold statement for that scene, and that is Empire of Love by Violet Cold. And they're a black metal solo artist, and for this album, they literally put the pride flag on the album cover,
okay.
and it has stirred the shit out of all like the metal chuds and stuff. And so it's become quite notable. But they have this really cool idea where they basically said, what if black metal was really positive and about nice things? And so they made a black metal album like Black Gaze. It's kind of like Deaf Heaven's Ordinary Corrupt Human Love, where it's that kind of it's black metal, but it sounds very upbeat and it kind of soars. And they have a lot of track titles like We Met at the Revolution and things like that that are just really great and stirring up a lot of people. So well worth a mention.
Yeah, definitely. I actually might check that out because I mean, I don't really like black metal, but the fact that you said that it's kind of uplifting and stuff, it's kind of the opposite of
Yeah,
what you'd
it has a
expect.
lot of shoegaze and post metal influence as well. Like I think it's pretty accessible to people that don't like black metal for sure. And there's a huge variety of vocals. They think they got like they must have worked with like 10 different vocalists or something to have all these vocal samples across their tracks. Very
Yeah,
distinct vocals.
awesome. So I'm gonna play my final track now. So this is Mud Factory with All Shall Be Erased. It's their first single from their new album, The Sin of Our Fathers, which is out now via Wormhole Death. And the physical release will be out on 16th of July via Oral Music Group. The band said that The Sins of Our Fathers is a lethal dose of Serbian hatred that everyone can enjoy, which sounds pretty great, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
got a
yeah,
lot of hatred.
yeah. So this is All Shall Be Raised by Mud Factory.
Rushing, rushing.
this podcast with my friends that's like nothing to do with music at all. It's
All right.
a movie podcast called Work Scrolling Hollywood, where we just basically watch movies from that we loved as like a kid, or like from some time ago, and see how it holds up now. In like terms of like, is it like really offensive, or does it have like shit that just doesn't track anymore? And
Yeah.
it's it's a comedic kind of look, just but it also has a bit of social commentary to it.
Mm.
And yeah, that's been a lot of fun because yeah, it's really insane to look back on movies. Pretty much any movie from before like 2010 has like a lot of egregious shit in it
Yeah.
that was like very normalized back in the day and like even funny. And then now it's like, oh, okay, this isn't funny now. Like this is yeah. And then sometimes you discover movies are actually were actually really ahead of their time. Like Big Trouble in Little China, we discovered uh, was more progressive than most movies that came out in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they'd actually hired huge amount of Asian actors, and they'd done all these things to try to avoid appropriation and stuff like that. So John Carpenter was pretty on the money in the 80s. You
Yeah. I
seen any
mean,
movies lately? You a movie guy?
I'm to be honest, I'm not a massive movie person. Yeah. I mean, I kind of have. I mean, to be honest, I'm like massive Star Wars fan, so that's kind of yeah. I mean, sci-fi stuff. I enjoy quite a lot. Um, yeah, I'm not really one to talk about the movies, to be honest.
Oh, that's
I mean, I'm a very
what
basic
about
kind of basic person
you
when it
game?
comes to movies.
You game? You
Sorry.
gamer? Play
Yeah, I
games?
mean, yeah, I kind of do like retro stuff. Um, but yeah, again, it's kind of the same kind of stuff like Star Wars games. What else have I got down
Star
there?
Wars
Devil May Cry.
games were so good.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, there's so many good ones. Like, I honestly think the Star Wars games is like the best part of the Star Wars universe because, like, I think there's more consistently good quality games than there are like video content in the overall series because there is some like not as great stuff.
yeah,
But in the games, there's like everything's so fun because all the mechanics, lightsabers are fun in video games, shooting lasers, all that shit
yeah,
works really well in games. And then you got the universe, which, works really well for like RPGs and stuff, like Knights of the Old Republic. That was a really big one.
yeah. I mean, there's one that I played when I was younger. It's called Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast.
Oh, yeah.
I used to play that for hours and hours and hours, like on multiplayer. Um, I was obsessed with that game. I don't know what it
Yeah,
was
no.
really. It was just like, I mean, the game itself was good, like, you know, but the community was just really strong as well. Um, so there was people like building custom maps, and there was loads of forums, and you could just like chat to people that like the game, and it's just yeah, it's just a really cool online community. Back in the time when it's those sort of things were just starting out, because it was like
Yeah.
early 2000s. So yeah, I
Yeah,
used to love that game.
it was pretty awesome when that first started up and I first had access to like online gaming and stuff for sure. There was like these little communities. I think I was playing a lot of like the old Call of Duty games and Halo and stuff like that in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think they were
Yeah,
less
really.
toxic back then as well. I don't know if that's just like rose tinted
I think
glasses or anything,
because
but
I think because it wasn't as accessible back then, so most of it people on it were like, true kind of nerds and
yeah,
gamers, and there was like less of us. And then as it got into like the 2010s, it became the norm to have like Xbox Live or to have whatever the subscription services were, or if you're on a computer, it became the norm to know like an MMO, at least one, you know what I mean, whether it was World of Warcraft or RuneScape or whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, and so that became really accessible. So then you started getting like I think a lot of teenagers in the late O's, like 2009, 2010, sort of. That's when like the rise of the teen gamer
Yeah,
with the Kyles of the
yeah, the
world.
cars definitely. Yeah,
We've
another
all
Star
been
Wars game
Kyle at
which
one point
was
or another.
yeah, I think Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original, before they done Battlefront again, rebooted it.
Yeah.
That game was immense as well. Well, even the first one. Yeah, those. I think the mid 2000s was like the best time to be a Star Wars fan. Like the games were great, the films were great. Just all the content was great that was coming out.
Yeah, the games for sure, but I think from my memory, like the best time. Like, I'm not really into Star Wars that much now, but like I was really into it in like 1999, and I would buy like packets of chips because they had Star Wars like Tarzos in them and shit. And like there was this era where like there wasn't really that many. We didn't have like online shit yet, like games as much.
Mm.
But there was so much just Star Wars merchandise in your everyday life because of companies or like just co-opting Star Wars left and right. So you can get like Star Wars version of everything in that time. Like, you'd have like Star Wars chips and Star Wars drinks and shit all throughout the house and stuff,
Yeah,
and Star Wars specials. And it's kind of like Pokemon as well back then, where it was like when you're forced to do it offline, it was like very intensive. Like people fucking really got into it.
yeah. I remember all the Star Wars vending machines they had, like for the Phantom Menace. They had like vending machines with plastered with the posters and stuff, and then all the Pepsi cans and Coke cans. They all Star Wars, all Star Wars stuff on it.
Yeah, and the Star Wars merchandise just made so much fucking money. Like every
Yeah,
kid was just asking for that shit for Christmas.
yeah. Lightsabers. I remember having a couple of lightsabers.
I had a shampoo bottle that had like that was the shape of a fucking one of those underwater vessels that I don't even know how to describe it. That in the Phantom Menace with Jar Jar Binks going down underwater
Oh
and they had
yeah,
those
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of underwater planes. Yeah, it was like one of those, but it was like shampoo. All the Lego and shit.
Yeah. I remember I had this thing. It was like in the shape of a lightsaber, but it had like a little Game Boy screen on it. And like if you like sort of swung it around, it would sort of interact with the little screen. It was kind of like thinking about it now. It's kind of you have to try and look as you're swinging it around. Um, but I found that really cool at the time when I was like 8 or 9. It's like one of the coolest things ever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Some reason that reminded me of the Game Boy used to have some really weird extensions. I remember we used to have all the shit you'd be able to attach to the Game Boy in some way. You'd have like that light, that like big ass light you'd attach to the
Oh
top of
yeah.
it. You'd have like this. There was this camera attachment at one point that came with all these mini games and stuff, and then there's all this weird shit. But I
Yeah.
loved having the Pokemon Game Boy with the starter Pokemon on the actual Game Boy and stuff. I think I had the Nintendo 64 version of that too. I was really into Pokemon when I was a kid.
Yeah. Same. Um,
The millennial story.
yeah. I never actually had the original Game Boy, but I had the Game Boy Color. Um, actually, I remember when.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. I remember I went to New York. I think it was 2019, and one of the I was in the Nintendo shop, and they had this. I think it was a Game Boy that had been. I think it was in the Falklands War, so it like half exploded, and it still worked. So it had it like in this like display case, and it was yeah, that was really cool to see that. It's a bomb's gone off right next to it, and it still works. It's yeah,
Nice.
Nintendo manufacturing. It's pretty sound.
Yeah, it's like the old phones, like the Nokia bricks and shit. You
Yeah,
could just throw them around and stuff.
yeah, because why the
Nowadays, I'm
nuclear?
always walking around with a cracked phone because I'm always dropping it once.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so let's. Shall we play your second track? I think it'd be
Yeah,
good.
this is a standalone single from Aeon's Abyss called "The Great Hanging" that came out last year. This is a particularly one I'm very fond of because it's both like a very anti-capitalist kind of message. And I'm also got a little Easter egg shout out on the album art for this one, where
Nice.
they had Noob Heavy sketched into the awning that's hanging all the businessmen.
That's sick. I don't.
And this features vocals from Shannon from Eternal Rest, who's a Brisbane band, and a guitar solo from Roger Rogers, who is in a Brazilian band called Savages.
So that's a wrap. That's the end of the show. Thanks, Carcassbomb, for joining me on this one.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate.
It's been a great little chat, I think.
Was I supposed to chime in on that?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, yeah, it's great. It's a great little chat. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if this was a solo outro or I was supposed to respond to you.
Well, yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks to the bands that let me feature their tracks today, and we'll see you next time.